3 very scary, true, disturbing late-night walks. I don't walk at night anymore. Not after what happened on Riverside Drive. Not after the parking garage. And definitely not after the woman in the yellow raincoat. These aren't campfire stories. This happened to me. 3 different nights, 3 different cities, and I still check my locks twice before bed. Story 1. The Follower. It was August 2019. Portland, Oregon. I was 26, working late shifts at a tech startup downtown, and my apartment was exactly 14 blocks away. 14 blocks I'd walked 100 times. The thing about walking the same route every night is you stop noticing things. The closed boutiques, the flickering streetlight on Morrison, the gap between buildings where the alley opens up like a dark mouth. You stop noticing until something changes. It was 11:47 p.m. when I left the office. I remember because I texted my roommate Jules, told her I'd be home by midnight. The streets were empty except for a few restaurant workers smoking outside a Thai place. And somewhere a few blocks over, a car alarm was going off. That distant, rhythmic wail that eventually just becomes background noise. I had my earbuds in. Podcast about unsolved mysteries. Ironic, I know. I was 4 blocks from home when I felt it. You know that feeling, not something you see or hear, just a shift in the air, a pressure on the back of your neck that makes your shoulders tense without you deciding to. I turned around. The street behind me was empty, wet pavement reflecting the street lights, a newspaper box, a bike rack with 2 bikes chained to it. Nothing. I kept walking. Faster now. I took out one earbud. And that's when I heard the footsteps, not close, maybe 30 feet back, the same rhythm as mine. Walk, 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 stop. I stopped. The footsteps stopped. My heart was doing that thing where it feels like it's beating in your throat. I told myself I was being paranoid. Portland's safe. People walk at night. It's fine. I started walking again. So did the footsteps. 3 blocks from home. I could see the glow of my building's entrance from here. The 24-hour deli on the corner that always smelled like coffee and newspapers. I pulled out my phone, opened it to Jules's contact, but didn't call. Just held it. Like somehow that made me safer. I glanced back, trying to be casual. Trying to make it look like I was just checking the time or something. There was a man about 40 feet behind me now. Hoodie, hands in pockets, walking at exactly my pace. When I sped up, he sped up. When I slowed down, he slowed down. My apartment building was 2 blocks away, then 1. The street lights felt too far apart suddenly. The shadows between them stretched longer than I remembered. I could hear my own breathing, could hear his breathing, or maybe I was imagining it. I reach my building. The door has a security code. 8 digits. I've punched it in 1,000 times without thinking. My hands were shaking so badly I hit the wrong number twice. Behind me, the footsteps got closer. I didn't turn around. I just kept my eyes on the keypad. Tried again. 724-91836. The lock clicked. I grabbed the door, pulled it open, stepped inside, and turned around as it swung shut. He was standing on the sidewalk, maybe 10 feet away, just standing there under the street light, hands still in his pockets, hood up, staring directly at me. The door locked with a heavy thunk. We stood there, separated by glass and a door, in this fragile understanding that he couldn't get in and I couldn't get out without facing him. He didn't move, didn't speak, just tilted his head slightly. like he was curious, like he was waiting. I backed toward the elevator, didn't take my eyes off him. He smiled, not a big smile, just the corners of his mouth. This small, private smile, like we shared a secret. Then he turned and walked away. Not quickly, not slowly. Just walked back the way he'd come, hands in pockets, like nothing had happened. I took the elevator to the 5th floor, walked to my apartment, went inside and locked the door and put the chain on. Jules was already asleep. I stood at the window and looked down at the street. Empty. But here's the thing that still bothers me. The thing I didn't realize until the next morning. My building has 2 entrances. Front door on Riverside. Back door in the alley, code locked, same 8 digits. The next day, I was taking out the trash. Went through the back door into the alley. And there, scratched into the metal beside the keypad in fresh, thin lines, were 8 numbers. 72491836. We moved out 2 weeks later. Jules thought I was overreacting. But she didn't see that smile. And she didn't see those numbers. I thought that was a one-time thing. Some creep, some weirdo. Portland's got plenty. But then, a year later, I was in Chicago for work, and I learned that whatever happened on Riverside Drive wasn't an ending. It was a warning. If you are enjoying this story, hit the like button and subscribe. Story 2. The Conference. October 2020, Chicago, River North District. I was there for a conference, 3 days. Stayed at one of those boutique hotels with exposed brick and Edison bulbs everywhere. Very Instagram. Very expensive. The hotel didn't have its own parking, so they had a deal with a garage 2 blocks away. Underground, 6 levels deep. The kind of place that smells like concrete and exhaust and always feels 10 degrees colder than outside. I'd parked on level B4. I remember because the elevator was broken and I had to walk down. And by the time I reached B4, my calves were burning and I was already annoyed. The conference ran late. Networking drinks, forced small talk with people whose names I forgot immediately. By the time I got back to the garage, it was almost 1 a.m. The entrance was on Michigan Avenue. Glass doors, security keypad. I punched in the code the hotel gave me. The door clicked open. Inside, the fluorescent lights buzzed. That electric hum that makes the silence feel heavier. My footsteps echoed on the concrete. The stairwell was at the far end. I walked past empty parking spaces, following the yellow lines painted on the floor. That's when I heard the car door. Behind me. The solid thunk of a door closing. I turned around. Nothing. Just rows of cars. A BMW, a Honda, a pickup truck with mud on the tires. I kept walking. Another sound. Closer this time. Like someone stepping on gravel. Hello? My voice came out smaller than I intended. No answer. Just that buzzing fluorescent hum. I reached the stairwell. The door was heavy, metal, with a small wire glass window. I pulled it open and started down. B1, B2, B3. The lights in the stairwell flickered. Not dramatically. Just a quick stutter that made my stomach drop. B4. I pushed through the door into the parking level. Found my car. A rental, silver Toyota. Parked between a white van and a concrete pillar. My hands were already on my keys. I pressed the unlock button. The car beeped. Lights flashed. I reached for the door handle. And I heard breathing. Not mine. Someone else's. Close. Too close. I spun around. The white van's side door was open. Just a crack, maybe 6 inches. Enough to see darkness inside, but not what was in that darkness. And from that crack, I could hear breathing. Slow, steady, waiting. Every horror movie I'd ever seen flashed through my mind in half a second. The van, the open door, the dark parking garage. I should have run, should have screamed, should have done literally anything else. Instead, I froze. The breathing stopped. Silence. Just the fluorescent buzz and my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Then, from inside the van, a voice. Low, male, almost conversational. You should probably leave. Not threatening, not aggressive, just factual, like he was giving me advice about the weather. I didn't wait to hear more. I yanked my car door open, threw myself inside, slammed it, shut, locked it. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely get the key in the ignition. The engine turned over. I looked at the van. The side door was still open, still dark, but now I could see a hand, resting on the edge of the door, pale, fingers long and thin, not moving, just there. I reversed out of the space so fast my tires squealed, didn't care about the turns, didn't care about the speed bumps, just drove up level after level after level until I burst out onto Michigan Avenue. The street was bright, cars, people walking, a group of college kids laughing outside a bar. Normal, safe. I drove straight to a different parking garage, parked there, walked back to the hotel and didn't sleep. The next morning, I told the front desk what happened. They looked concerned, said they'd call the garage, asked if I wanted to file a police report. I said yes. 2 officers showed up, took my statement, went to check the garage. They came back an hour later. There was no white van on B4. No van anywhere in that garage matching my description. But they did find something. In the parking space next to where I'd been parked, scratched into the concrete in thin, deliberate lines. You should probably leave. The same words. In the same voice I still hear sometimes when I'm trying to fall asleep. 2 cities. 2 encounters. Both times I left. But the third time, I didn't have that option. Because the third time, whatever was following me decided to come inside. Story 3. The Yellow Raincoat, March 2022. Seattle, Capitol Hill. I'd moved there for a job. Tech company, remote work mostly. But they wanted me in the city. I found a studio apartment on Pine Street. 4th floor, old building. The kind with radiators that clanged at night and hardwood floors that creaked when you walked. I'd been there about 3 months when it started raining. Not unusual for Seattle, I know. But this was different. Constant, heavy. The kind of rain that sounds like static and turns the streets into rivers. It had been raining for 6 days straight when I saw her. I was coming home from a late grocery run, about 10 p.m. The sidewalks were empty. Just me in the rain and the glow of closed storefronts. I was half a block from my building when I noticed her. Standing across the street, under a broken street light, wearing a yellow raincoat, bright yellow. The kind construction workers wear. Hood up, facing my direction. Not moving. I looked away, kept walking, told myself it was nothing. Someone waiting for a ride, someone smoking, someone on their phone. But when I reached my building and glanced back, she was still there, still standing, still watching. I went inside, took the elevator, unlocked my apartment, and I looked out the window. She was directly across the street now. Still in the same position, hood up, face hidden in shadow. I closed the curtains. She was there the next night. Same spot, same yellow raincoat, same stillness, I started taking different routes home, used the back entrance, came home at different times. Didn't matter. She was always there when I looked out my window. After a week, I called the non-emergency police line, told them someone was standing outside my building every night. They said they'd send someone to check. A patrol car showed up an hour later. I watched from my window. The officers got out, looked around, walked up and down the block. The woman in the yellow raincoat was gone. The officers knocked on my door. I let them in, explained everything. They were polite, professional, said they didn't see anyone, said to call back if it happened again. But I could see it in their eyes. That look, the one that says they think you're wasting their time. 3 nights later, I woke up at 2:47 a.m. Something had woken me. Not a sound, just a feeling. That same pressure on the back of my neck. My apartment was dark, quiet. Just the sound of rain against the window. I turned over, and I saw her, standing outside my window, on the fire escape, 4 stories up, yellow raincoat, hood up, face in shadow, completely still. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Just lay there staring at this shape outside my window, wondering if I was dreaming, if this was real, if I was losing my mind. She didn't move, didn't knock, just stood there. We stayed like that for what felt like hours, but was probably 30 seconds. Then slowly, she raised one hand and waved. Not a friendly wave, a small gesture, fingers moving in the dark, like she was saying hello or goodbye. I grabbed my phone, called 911, told them someone was on my fire escape. The dispatcher kept me on the line, sent officers. I could hear sirens getting closer. I didn't take my eyes off the window. But when I blinked, she was gone. The police searched the fire escape, the roof, the alley below. Nothing. No footprints, no trace, no yellow raincoat. But here's what they did find. On the fire escape, pressed against my window, was a handprint. Small, wet, like it had been raining on that hand for days. And on my windowsill, inside the apartment, someone had written 2 words in condensation. I'm inside. I moved out the next day, stayed with a friend, broke my lease, didn't care about the penalty. Because when I packed my things, I found something I'd never seen before. Tucked behind my bedroom radiator, a small yellow button, the kind you'd find on a raincoat. It was still wet. I live in Denver now. Ground floor apartment, bars on the windows, deadbolts on every door. I don't walk at night anymore. I don't take shortcuts, and I don't look out windows after dark. Because I learned something on those 3 walks. Sometimes, the thing following you isn't trying to catch you. It's trying to see if you'll notice. And once you do, once you see it looking back, once you acknowledge it's real, that's when it knows where you live. I still see yellow raincoats sometimes, in crowds, on buses, in reflections. And every single time, I walk the other way. Because the 4th walk, I don't plan on taking it. End.